Now I would love to encourage listeners to ask the questions which are related with the speaker's experiences. And I see one hand. Please, floor is yours.
Рух содействия территориальной обороне. Уточняю у вас, это были представители литовских добровольцев.
I would like to clarify that whether these were the representatives of the Riflemen's Union or the volunteer forces. These were the representatives of the Riflemen Union. Okay, so the first speaker. Well, I really took his speech by heart. I remember there was an organization in Ukraine which did nothing, but still after 2014 it continues to do nothing in Ukraine. However, the organization is led by the old Soviet-type leaders. So my first question to the first speaker, why is it so that your organization, which was restructured, why is it so that you think that your organization did nothing prior to 2014 and it was reborn after 2014? At least that's what I received from your presentation. Was Mr. Gumbinas in charge of the union before 2014? Why such a transformation? Well, I believe the stagnation of the union was basically related to NATO integration. Everybody felt at ease, everyone was relaxed, had nothing to fear for, and I was representing the generation who could still remember the events of the 13th of January 1991 and the tanks who were crushing the people that day, whereas the majority of the population were already enabled to remember those times. I believe when you do nothing, nothing is happening, and when you start doing something, something changes. I don't know was it related to the leadership of the union, but as far as I know that the current leader of the union, Mr. Gumbinas, he did not try to stop any change, but he definitely helped us to deliver change. I would like to add in saying that I believe that our society was really used to the peaceful environment and forgot about the possible threats, and they were probably hibernating while the events in Ukraine forced us to remember those events once again. Well, I would also like to add in saying that the system was actually functioning, but it was basically focused on patriotic education, on school clubs, while the adult training program was very indiscriminate, but it was basically related to the number of adults, members of the union at the time.
More questions? Yes, please. Okay, lady.
My question goes to Mr. Kristijonas. When you were speaking about production of the military equipment in Lithuania, did you cooperate with the state, let's say, in terms of standardization, legalization, acquisition, or any other issues? Did you have a cooperation with the state in developing your production? I have to say that there was no real cooperation. We did this at our own initiative, and basically all our production was sold to the UK, and we haven't sold much here in Lithuania. All the testing and other issues were done at our own initiative. We did cooperate with the Lithuanian military forces, with the soldiers who do use the equipment on the battlefield, who understand what is needed there. Well, don't get us wrong, perhaps they haven't acquired it yet, but they will in the future. I mean, these are bureaucratic issues, basically, which do not happen overnight. What we did do was we developed a certain base for our riflemen so that they would be able to know what is available for them, what they can use, how to use it. As for the testing, some of it is happening internally in Lithuania. Other testing takes place abroad based on the standards as necessary.
Question and whom?
Я буду на русском, чтобы коллегам было беспереводно.
I will speak perhaps in Russian to make it easier for my colleagues. I would just have a comment as a historian. It's not a question. I believe it was not clear fully to all the colleagues when we were talking prior to the coffee break. Why is it so that Lithuania has two structures which evidently work within one territory? I believe here we should go back to history. The Lithuanian Riflemen's Union restored its activities in 1989, when in 1991 the Republic of Lithuania was restoring its military forces. They refused to make the Riflemen's Union an integral part of the Lithuanian army. So the regular army and the Riflemen Union, they both existed simultaneously as two different institutions. And today, if the Lithuanian Riflemen's Union would take on a military direction, we would once again have to ask ourselves, why is it so that they have two different structures? Both of them, the army, the regular army and the union, have to find their own path. The structure, the size of the Lithuanian Riflemen's the structure and the size of the voluntary forces is to be decided by the government. It is regulated, whereas the members of the union and the Riflemen's Union, it is not limited to the size. And if you're asking why is it so that there are two such structures and perhaps they should join and merge into one, because additional commanders and infrastructure would be handy. So far no one has an answer as to why is it so, but perhaps after 10 or 20 years it might become clear. So prior to the war, the union was basically an organization which joined both cultural, educational activities as well as military activities. But it happened so historically that the organization has took on a different path in modern times. I believe the Estonians will be able to tell you that their history was different.
Yes, but the questions about their experiences.
Меня зовут Мария, у меня вопрос к Аурелии. Скажите, пожалуйста, вот сколько на самом деле женщин где-то, какая доля, да, вот какая часть женщин в организации?
Could you tell us what is the share of the women in the Riflemen's Union, and where do the women are most able to realize their activities. As far as I understand, you work in the Stratcom staff.
Apie 20-30 procentų.
At the moment, we have 20 to 30% of women in the Lithuanian Riflemen's Union, and I believe we should avoid stereotypes. We do have women in the combat platoons. The share of women there, of course, is smaller. However, gender is non-existent in these matters. This is the personal choice of every human being where he wants to realize his potential. Perhaps I failed to mention that in pre-war times there were about 40% of women riflewomen. So engagement of women into the activities of the Riflemen Union was always active. If we take a look at the historical photos, we could also see that women were engaged in all sorts of activities, in training, in shooting, and all other active military activities of the Union. And if we were to go to war, I believe the women would be able to do everything they can. Yes, I won't be able to carry a 60-kilo heavy backpack, but I will try to do everything else I can. All that we need is your willingness and your determination to contribute.